was my brother Willard and I were always the ones that were elected to have to herd the cows. So we would just do all kinds of things. My dad smoked Bull Durham and came in a little white bag with a drawstring on the top, and he had cigarette papers. So Willard and I thought it'd be fun to dry some grape leaves, and we swiped some of Dad's tobacco papers. And so while we were herding the cows, we crushed the leaves and rolled them up into a little cigarette paper and made a little cigarette out of it, and took some matches with us. It didn't taste very good, so that wasn't a very good experiment. But one time we had a neighbor that had 2 boys, and they were working in the corn crib, putting up a little platform and thought this was a place where they could just sit up there. Everybody liked to get up a little higher than they were. And so they said to us one day, come on over and climb up into our little place. So we went over there, and we left the cows on the road, and pretty soon my dad and mother, they were farming another section of land that they had to go out on the road and go to the place. And here they come home, and one of the cows had gotten through the fence and gotten into the cornfield. So boy, we knew we were in trouble, and I mean we were in trouble. So we both got a good licking, as we call it, those days. Not to do that again. But in those days too, before Dad found some kind of an engine to get the water flowing from the windmill, we had to pump that by hand in the tank for the animals. And so Willard he'd pump 25 pumps and he'd quit. And I mean just 25. And then when Martha would do it, Martha would just do 25. So we'd think that's the way we filled our water tank for our cattle. We were always doing so many things together. And then one year, we had just moved on to this place that I was telling you about. And we were playing handy over, and we were barefoot. And when the ball fell into where the water dripped off of the roof, I stepped in that, and I was barefoot and cut my big toe practically off. So then I had to go around, and there's a wash pan and under the outdoor sink, outdoor pump. And so I was pumping water, and the blood was spurting out of my toe, and the folks were dressing to go to Elmwood to get groceries. And they always went on Saturday night. And one of the kids called Mom and said, Mom, you better come out and look at this, because the blood is spurting out of her toes. So boy, I'm telling you, needless to say, they really got things to go and go. And they took me to Dr. Liston, who was a doctor at the time. He was a country doctor in Elmwood, a wonderful man. And so he had Mom give me the ether while he sewed my toe together. And then they couldn't get me awake. And all my life I was scared of ether because of that episode. But when I had my Marcia, that they wanted to give me ether, and I refused, and I told the doctor, I told him why. And he said, well, I'm here to take care of you, and I'll watch, and you'll be all right. So I had to take a certain, because I had already been in labor from Sunday to Tuesday.
Oh, my goodness.
So they decided I'd better have some ether while they delivered the child, and so that's what they did. So there were a lot of incidents on the farm that we did. We had a building for the hogs that had kind of a steeple part top. It had windows in it, and so my brother and I, we laid some wood across there so that we could sit up there, and then we'd have a gallon can, and we'd put stones in it and bring it up. Then we'd toss them out to see how far we could toss them because we were up high. So that was just one of the pleasurable things that we did. But there was a lot of work in everything that we did. There was just no doubt about it. Dad would in the fall, would plow the potatoes out, and then he'd do it late in the afternoon so that when we come home from school, we would all have to take a bucket and pick up the potatoes and potato rows. And we'd have, which seems unbelievable, we'd have almost a half a wagon load of potatoes, and all the farms had a cave, and so there were places to put the fruit and the places to put the potatoes and stuff. So there was all pretty old-fashioned, but it worked. That's all we had to do.
You said your mother was a real tall woman. Was she?
Was what?
You're very tall, your mom?
Yes, she was 5'10".
So unusual in that day.
And she was a very strong lady, you know. She raised her own little chicks and her own setting hens that she had that she would set the eggs under, and it took 3 weeks for eggs to hatch for little chicks. And then she got the hen out, and it was so interesting. It was so cute because they were so darling, and then when she settled down, she'd fluff out those wings, and all those little chicks would be underneath those feathers, and it's educational as well as anything else. And then she had an incubator too that she used.
You had ducks? Did she have ducks too, or geese?
Pardon me?
I was thinking she had ducks or geese, and you were talking about the eggs that she put under the sitting hens.
Oh, that was the ducks and geese
The
eggs. And she always raised ducks and geese, but they never did set on the eggs. She had to hatch the ducks and geese eggs under a setting hen, because the ducks and geese, I don't know why that was. I don't know how they do that in the wild, and we thought about that. But the ones that we had at home that we could use.
Martha, tell us about, you had a restaurant in Union when you were
Yes.
married?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, I married Lowell in 1936, and we lived with his folks and until the next spring, and we rented a house on the farm that was vacant at that time, and we rented that from the man that owned the farm, and we lived there we bought furniture and stuff, put in it, and Lowell's brother-in-law and Sister Marcella were running the cafe in Union at that time. And so the couple they had working nights quit, and so they needed somebody because it was 24 hours. And so they thought maybe that'd be a good job for Mac and me. Mac is what we called him because that was his nickname. And so we left the farm and we moved our things to town, and we worked nights from 7:30 to 7:30, 12 hours a night. And on Sunday we worked 10 hours. They gave us 2 hours on Sunday night so we could go to the movie or whatever we had, the house that we lived in, we had to sleep in the basement because of the hot weather. And here were the spiders and the bugs and stuff. Just scared you to death, but it was the only way you could sleep. Because we didn't have fans at that time. I guess we did have later though, but at that time, of course, there wasn't any place in the basement to connect them anyway. But anyhow, the kids decided, Marcel and Russ decided to sell the place. And they had been there for several years. So Mac and I bought the restaurant. And we were there for, excuse me, we were there for 5 years. And it was very educational when you think about the things that, the prices of things at that time. We served meals that were put on an oval platter of that heavy china, and not the round plates, but the heavy like a platter. And in the middle.
Martha, I'm going to stop you for just a moment.